Meanwhile, Canada is hoping to get a handle on a destructive wildfire that has been burning, really raging out of control for more than a week now. The fire, now nicknamed the Beast, has already burned nearly 400,000 acres in Alberta. It has destroyed an entire town, forced nearly 90,000 people to evacuate. In so doing, though cooler temperatures and weaker winds are helping, if only just a bit. Our Ben Tracy is on the ground just south of Fort McMurray, good enough to stick around with us today. Ben, again, first of all, to the success by emergency crews, have they had it in containing a fire that officials were worried might grow to double its size just a couple of days ago?
Yeah, I would say they're far from containing it, but this is the first time we have heard any sort of optimism from fire officials. They really do feel like they've turned a corner, and the reason for that is largely the weather. It is significantly colder yesterday and today than it has been in the past week. The winds have lightened up a bit. They say that has given them the opportunity to really dig in and what they call get a death grip on this fire. They are attacking this thing from the air, from the ground, putting out hot spots. And the good news is the wind is really pushing the fire away from Fort McMurray and away from the other towns that it once threatened.
We saw strikingly late last week in a piece of yours that, in fact, people who had evacuated to a high school were then forced to evacuate again. What's the latest then on the evacuations and the safety of the evacuees?
Yeah, it's been a tough week for those evacuees. The ones you're talking about, they evacuated from Fort McMurray. They went to an evacuation shelter that was about 10 miles south of town. And then in the middle of the night, the fire started approaching that. They put everybody on buses and shipped them all the way down to Edmonton, which is about 5 hours away. You know, we spent all day Saturday in an evacuation center about 3 hours south of here. And, you know, for the most part, people are handling this fairly well. There is a growing resignation that this is not something that's going to be solved in a matter of days, that these people could be out of their homes for weeks, if not months, because keep in mind, inside Fort McMurray, even if your house was not burned down, there's no electricity, there's no drinkable water, there's no gas. So there are some major infrastructure issues that have to be solved before they can safely let people return home.
And again, just a time frame then on how long, you mentioned that officials think they have a death grip on this. Is there a time frame about as to how long this fire might still burn?
They've been pretty honest in saying that this thing's going to burn for months. And that's because it is burning in dense, dry forests. They've had some drought up here. They had a very dry winter, and there's a ton of fuel out there. And there's really nothing they can do to put the fire out until they get some sort of torrential rain in this area. And we are told that it's not unusual in June here for them to have kind of these downpours, these monsoon rains. So they are very much looking forward to that. But when you look at the 7-day forecast, there is no rain in it. The good news is that the temperatures are now below normal for this time of year. It's about 35 degrees right now. So while that may be somewhat uncomfortable for firefighters, it's much better for slowing down this fire, and that will make their job easier.
There, again, we were just looking at some images. This is just, it's a staggering thing to behold. Ben Tracy, I know you've been on top of it, and you will remain so. We appreciate your time today.
Thanks, Josh.